Hey, how you doing? So this one's a little bit different. It's not just me on here this evening. In fact, I am joined by my good friend Simon Faulkner Barrett, who's also known as the Ginger Juicer. And I'm going to be bringing Simon on in just a moment or two. And this is the first time I've interviewed Simon since 2013. Now, I've spoken to him a whole bunch of times since then, but I was looking back through like some old Natural Juice Junkie stuff, and I was amazed that it was actually nearly 7 years ago that I first interviewed this guy, talking about like his health journey and things. And I figured it'd be really cool to bring him on and get a bit of an update of that, talk about some of the stuff he's done since, some of the things he's been doing with his own juicing business. And yeah, he's an all-round nice guy. He's a good mate of mine. And so I'm going to bring him on right now and let's get this show on the road. Simon, how are you doing, mate?
Yeah, good, mate. Thank you very much. What a fantastic intro. I like the bit you said about nice guy, so I appreciate that.
Can you believe it's been 7 years, though, since we did that interview for Natural Juice Junkie?
I know, it's mental, really. And it was that year I actually met you first at Whole Foods, didn't I?
Yeah.
I mean, we obviously talked a lot beforehand.
You came to one of my talks or something. Yeah.
That's it. Came to Whole Foods, had the interview then, and yeah, 7 years, hell of a long time. But there we go, and it's gone quickly, isn't it? And what a lot's changed.
Well, I mean, that's one of the things I want to talk about because if I go back to where we both were like 6.5, 7 years ago when we did that interview, we'd both been juicing for I think a couple of years at that point, but it was a couple of years, right?
Well, yeah, I started in 2012.
Well, okay, so for me it was 2010. Well, 2009 is when my kind of like a health journey started. Yeah. It was 2010 that I bought my first juicer. But we were both fairly early into this journey.
We're on our pedestals, weren't we?
Yeah, exactly. And
juice cures everything.
Well, and we looked at a lot of people and kind of took insight from them and took some guidance from them and maybe bought some hype that wasn't all completely true and whatever else.
Yeah.
But now for me, it's a decade plus on. For you, it's, 8 years into the journey or something. And I think for a lot of people in this group and in this community, and possibly watching a replay somewhere else later, but right now we're broadcasting live into the Natural Juice Junkie community on Facebook. There'll be people who are new to this stuff who are going, how do you keep it going for that long? And, do you ever chew? And do you eat solid food?
I get it all the time.
All of those kind of questions that I've had a million times. I'm sure you've had. And I thought it'd be cool to kind of expand on some of that from the point of view of, we've been doing this for a long time. What does it mean?
Well, I mean, just flipping back to what you said, it's typical. Whenever I go out for a meal, they always say, "Si, do you want to put that in the blender?" And it's like, oh my God, same old gags. But how do you keep it going? I think because when I first started off doing, probably a bit like yourself, you tend to get become a bit evangelistic about it all, really, because for me, it was a radical change from what I was living like.
So what was talk about that? What was life like before you went? Because you don't just wake up one morning and go, "Hey, I'm going to start juicing." Yeah. What was life like that made you go, I need to do some different things in my health? Like how was life when you weren't looking after yourself?
Well, I won't go into it. I don't want to delve into it too much, but I'm surprised I made it this long from what I've got up to in my life and everything. Because from the rave days in the early 90s, moving onwards to basically really abusing my body in every possible way you can conceive. So I'm quite pleased I'm still here. But how do we get into juicing? Well, it was really because my wife, girlfriend back then, was really sick. And I remember, and she had ulcerative colitis, so autoimmune disease. And I remember driving through North London in my old Fiesta, and she phoned me up and said, "We're going to try juicing." We tried everything else because we tried hypnotherapy, we tried steroids, nutrition, we tried the whole shebang, and nothing worked. And I remember telling we're going to try juicing, and we had an old Breville juice fountain tucked away gathering dust, as they do, as juicers tend to happen, isn't it? It's only as good as the one which you actually use. Any juice is good as long as you bloody use it. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And she said, "We're going to give it a go." I was like, "Yeah, no problem at all, whatever." But typically I would have been having loads of coffee in the car, sausage rolls. I was having lots of cheese. I was overweight, and actually this is the same time when we was at my wife's birthday party, and my nan said to me, she said, "Si, you've put on a lot of timber." And when your nan says that to you, bloody hell, But I was personally, I was suffering myself with. I used to get a lot of cold sores, acid reflux. I remember I had real bad acid reflux, and at one point I thought I was actually having a heart attack. So it's getting really bad. So I phoned the doctors and I said, "I've got a problem with my heart." And they said, yeah, you're gonna have to book in. I said, no, I think I've got a real issue. He said, well, come in. And made an emergency appointment for me, and it's just acid reflux. So I started having pills for that. I've also got dyslexia, so I get really tripping over my words all the time and forgetful. I'd go out of the house about 3 or 4 or 5 times before I got into the car because I kept forgetting stuff. Overweight. And we did this week, and the first couple of days for me was really tough, really bloody hard work. It's like a massive come down. It's horrible. I was on the sofa, literally rocking and colds and flu-like symptoms. And then on the 4th or 5th day, I jumped out of bed like Zebedee, and I was like, oh my God, this is insane. And then within that year, obviously I carried it on. I then started running marathons. And then I was literally preaching to everyone about juicing. I was like, anyone having an ailment, get some green juice down here. And I was just like a ultra sort of dedicated. Right? Sorry?
Like an evangelist.
Yeah, proper evangelistic, mate. And then over a couple of years, I've mellowed all about it now, so I have more of a sort of 80-20 approach to the lifestyle, so juice every day. But, we have the odd sort of snack, the odd sort of chocolate bar, the odd pudding, because you have to, don't you? You can't go through life. You've got to go through life having what you want with a bit of less restriction. It's like if you go into Sainsbury's and you think, I ain't going to buy any chocolate bars, that's what you can think about, isn't it? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and then I went on.
But it's also, in all seriousness, it's that classic thing as well, isn't it, right? I'm not going to buy anything unhealthy, right? So you walk around the shop, convinced and like telling yourself all the way around, I'm not going to buy this. I'm not going to buy this. I'm not going to buy this. Have you ever noticed how most supermarkets are deliberately designed that things like ice cream and chocolate are near the end of the shop? They're not at the beginning, are they?
It's right at the tills, isn't it?
Well,
it's
it used to be right next to the tills. They've done that a bit less, but they're still like the last aisles at the end of the shop is where they put all the crisps and the chocolate and the ice cream and what. It's designed on purpose so that as you've gone around the shop, you've gone, no, I won't buy that. No, I won't buy that. Oh, well, this one won't do any harm because you've been convincing yourself all the way around the shop that you're going to be good.
That's it. And you weigh it up as well. Oh, yeah. I've got 10 portions of veggie. 1 Snickers bar will be all right. Yeah, proud.
Exactly that. But I mean, to be honest, I love the fact that you're being upfront about, hey, this isn't a 100% thing because it's not for me either. I mean, we talked about like starting juicing. I mean, the thing that first introduced me, I don't know if I'm sure I've told you this before, but the thing that first introduced me to juicing was actually Gillian McKeith. The poo in a box woman, right?
The poo lady. Yeah.
And basically, long story cut short, I'd been to see a nutritionist that was kind of like a Gillian McKeith type person.
Yeah.
And I started reading loads of books on like diet and nutrition. And one of the books I read was one of Gillian McKeith's books, and it had a paragraph in it with the title of "Drink Your Greens." And I was like, well, I know greens are good for me. I know I don't eat enough of them. I'd never thought about the idea of drinking them, but it was like, that makes sense. So I jumped on like Amazon or similar, I can't remember where, bought a juicer, started banging some stuff through it. The juicer that I bought came with like a recipe book. So I tried some of those things and it just kind of evolved from there really, followed a few other people's juice plans and stuff.
Yeah.
And then started to, invent my own and move forward with it. But I think the big thing for me was, even in those early days, people were like, yeah, but do you eat? Like, yeah, of course I do. Time. And I don't juice every single day. I juice a lot. I've gone through periods, in that 10 years plus where I've probably had a month or two where my juicer was collecting dust.
Yeah.
I've also, my norm and like where I am now is I probably juice stuff like 5 or 6 days a week, but I'll have 1 or 2 where, maybe I get up and I want to use my teeth and I'm hungry and whatever, and I can't be bothered with
Scrambled egg, whatever. Absolutely.
Exactly that. So it's like, it's finding that balance that works for you. But I mean, you said 80-20, and I always try and put this in context for people. The average person eats 3 times a day, roughly, right? So that's about 90 meals a month. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
twenty
Yeah. Almost.
percent. 20% is 18 of those.
Yeah.
So if you had 18 times a month where you eat for entertainment, and the
It's a lot.
rest of
Well,
the time you eat for your health, that's
yeah.
basically one meal every other day that you can have for fun, but you're still sticking to 80-20.
Well, I'll probably have less than that. It's probably more like 90-10 then.
Well, I was going to say the reality is
Yeah,
the more you live that way, the less you want to eat some of that stuff, right?
for sure.
But the point is,
Absolutely.
if you know you can, if you know if you're doing 80-20, you can actually eat something unhealthy like every other day and it's not going to do you, significant amounts of harm. Suddenly the pressure of like, oh, that like diet mentality of it's all or nothing
Yeah.
kind of goes out the window a little bit.
And I think you're spot on there. And I think for me, a big thing, and I know you'll get this as well, is mental health.
Yeah.
Because for me, I don't like to use the analogy like a race car or whatever, anything like that. But our bodies are pretty freaking amazing, aren't they? And we've got to fuel them with the right fuel. And for me, if I give it the wrong stuff, my brain, not only can I not think straight, but also my emotions are all over the place and everything like that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but most of your, for example, most of your serotonin, which is like your feel-good hormone, is made in
Yeah.
your gut. If your gut is full of crap, right, what's your brain going to be filled with?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a second brain, isn't
Because
it?
if you're not looking after your gut health, it's not going to filter through to the rest of your body, is it?
Yeah.
You can't. I mean, I think it was Charlotte Gerson that I first heard say this, but she basically said, you can't get rid of you can't get rid of one disease and keep three others. It's like, either your body is diseased or it isn't.
Well, yeah. I mean, she says the body just wants to heal itself, doesn't she? So that's
Exactly.
what it does.
And it's how you support it and give it that environment and allow it to do those things, right?
Yeah,
And that's very much been my experience, whether it's physical health, mental health. You're either healthy or you're not healthy. There's no, it's almost like a light switch. It's on or it's off.
Not semi, is it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And, it might show up to differing degrees. You might be like really, really acute sickness that, puts you in bed for a week or whatever.
Yeah.
Or you might have something mild that kind of lets you carry on as normal and you can almost pretend it's not there. And again, I think one of the biggest things for me personally was the more I started to get in tune with my own body and listen to what was going on in my own body, the more I became aware that some of the things that I used to take as normal weren't.
Yeah,
So,
right.
I was sick for years,
Yeah.
but I didn't realize it because it was the same every damn day.
You're not wrong. A bit like having milk every day, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or something like that. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me started on the mucus build up from dairy and stuff. Let's not even go there.
That's the time for another time, isn't it?
But it is that thing of the more you look after yourself and the more you're able to pay attention to your body. And one of the big things I actually teach people, not just from a health perspective, but in life in general. So when I'm doing like business coaching and stuff, this comes up there as well, is pay attention to what happens in your body when you're having conversations with people or when you're doing stuff. So like someone says something and you like feel a chill in your spine. What was it they said? Or you feel your body clam up. What was it they said? What was the thing that triggered a physical reaction in you? Because there's almost certainly something in that.
That's very that, and I know why you're saying that as well, because that's like what your Ayurvedic as well, isn't it? That's very sort of an Ayurvedic mentality as well, isn't it?
Yeah. But it's everything's connected, right?
Yeah, for sure. Emotions, body, we're all synced into one, aren't we? Do you know what I mean?
But most of us have so much going on, we miss a lot of that. I mean, everybody's got one of these days, right? Everyone's got an iPhone or an Android phone or whatever. How many notifications a day do you have on that if you pay attention to them all?
Well, it's the classic, isn't it? When you go out for a meal and everyone's like this at the dinner table like that.
Yeah, exactly. Or like you go to the cinema or the theatre or something and people are coming out and they're always bumping into each other because they're all staring at their phones. That is what happens over and over and over and over and over again. And with all of those constant distractions, plus radio, plus TV, plus emails, plus everything that's happening around us.
Yeah.
It's almost impossible sometimes to actually know what's going on within us.
Absolutely. And that is why also I try and meditate more as well myself. I learned to meditate
By the way, Simon, just for your relevance, because I know you can't see this, you're getting loads of like thumbs up and hearts flashing across the screen.
Oh, am I?
Now
Lovely.
Now we're talking about meditation.
Thank
so
you.
I don't know exactly who's sending them. So, there's a few comments that have come through. But if you've got comments and questions, by the way, I can see them. Simon can't because of the technology we're using. But, if you've got questions you want me to ask Simon or whatever, feel free to stick them in the comments box while we're doing this live, and I will ask those questions. But yeah, carry on. You're talking about meditation.
It's real ginger hair as well. It's not dyed. No, but yeah. So I learned to meditate probably 5-6 years ago, and the practice is meant to be twice a day, but I don't do that because it's meant to be 20 minutes twice a day. But I don't do that because I guess exactly what you're saying there. It's just running around, children, work, relaxation time with the wife, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
But I try and now do it at least once a day at night time. And I do find that it's just a nice decompression time is really how I see it. A lot of people get confused by it, thinking you're going to close your eyes and you're going to float off somewhere or whatever it might be. But it's just I just say it's a decompression time, really. Yeah. And that sort of links into what you were saying there quite nicely.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's part of a daily practice. Actually, if you told me so let's rewind a bit, right? Let's go back to 2009.
Yeah.
I'm a fat bloke that drinks too much, eats too much, has a massive list of illnesses, and doesn't want to admit there's anything wrong. Okay.
Yeah.
If you'd said to that guy, hey, I'm going to meditate, I'm going to pray, I'm going to do spiritual readings, I'm gonna pay attention to what's going on in my body. If I'm overwhelmed, I'm gonna stop rather than trying to do more. If you told me all of that stuff, I would have laughed in your face.
Me too.
It was
Absolutely
not happening. It was not happening at all. Not even a little bit. And now my daily routine, involves me having a period where I read, where I meditate, where I connect with I'm keen to make a point here, my understanding of a power greater than myself.
Yeah.
So, different people have different meanings
different
on God and whatever else, right? So I'm not going to say what your view on that should be. I'm not even going to go deep on what mine is. All I am going to say is I make time for that spiritual connection on the daily basis because it's critical to me, both in terms of my mental health, but also I think my physical well-being. And if I feel myself getting tense or agitated during the day, I actually try and do more of it, which leads on to some questions that have come through, actually. So we had the same kind of question from a few people.
Just pause you there for 1 minute, if that's all right.
Yeah, sure.
Just because sometimes my brain is still a bit scatty and I'll think of stuff and I think that's a great question and I'll forget it. Do you ever, do you ever look at your Facebook timeline? Because I joined Facebook in, I think, 2000, and when would that be? Just get more... 2007, about that?
Yeah, about the same.
Yeah. Do you ever look at your timeline and you think, God and Bennett, did I actually say that as a status once? Some of the statuses I used to say in the past were quite aggressive, or it's I'm hanging out my arse today, I need a curry, or whatever it might be. It's mental, isn't it? And you just think, wow, you've come on such a long way.
Yeah, no, definitely I see that stuff. It comes up and some Facebook memories you go, wow, that's awesome. Others you go, oh my God, was that me?
Yeah.
Did I... Yeah, exactly. No, I get it. We've had a few questions coming up about meditation, how to start meditating. One of the questions I stuck on the screen right now actually is, thoughts on guided meditation versus internal meditation.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on that?
Okay, so I do a practice called transcendental meditation, or TM, and the long and the short of it is just basically an internal mantra you just repeat to yourself. Mm-hmm. So to start off meditation, I don't know if he's they used to do it. Deepak Chopra used to do a 21-day meditation challenge, and he would give you a mantra or something to do every day, and you just repeat it back. And I'd say that's probably the best way of doing it myself. I've tried mindfulness or and to be fair, I mean, even if you just did Wim Hof, mm-hmm. just does a breathing technique, mm-hmm. that's quite meditative as well. So that's just inhaling and exhaling and then holding it. So that can be quite meditative. And I guess all it is just really, I don't want to sound too cosmic, but it's about going into yourself really, and just switching off, decompressing it. I like the word decompress.
Well, I mean, for me, I'm not sure it's a lot of people think it's like you switch off and you don't hear stuff. It's not that. Not
Oh
for me.
yeah,
Not for me. It's not that.
absolutely.
Right. I actually think it's about stillness and it's about
Yes.
peace.
Yeah.
And part of that, again, this is just my personal experience, my own personal view, right? But part of that for me is deliberately listening to the things that come up. So people
Yeah.
say you want to silence everything and not be aware of what's going on. For me,
No,
it's
no.
like it's like actually you want to pay attention to what comes
Yeah,
up. You might want to move on from it
for sure.
and go back
This
to
is
the
it. Yeah,
stillness, but you
that's
also
right.
want to pay attention to what's coming up for you. And
Yeah,
you know, going back to the other kind of spiritual side of this, my own belief, and again, God of your understanding, right? Or universe, or whatever you want to call
universe.
it, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
for me,
Oh
prayer
God.
is
Yeah,
when you talk to that thing.
yeah,
Meditation is when you listen to it.
yeah. And
So
I
prayer is when
like
you
that. I
put
know you
stuff
said that.
out.
I've heard you say that before, and I get it. I
Yeah.
like that. And going back to what you're saying about thoughts, you don't shun thoughts off. Like you can be meditating, and you think, oh shit, I've left the stuff in my tumble dryer, or something random like that, or I can hear the birds outside, or whatever it might be. And like you say, all you do is you just acknowledge that thought,
Yep.
and then you just push it along.
Yep. Exactly.
Um, and
Exactly.
when I was taught, they said it was about a bit like, say you got the ocean, and you walk through the ocean, all the sand is in the sea, and in the water, it's all murky and everything. Meditation is just letting that sand settle.
Yep.
So but then you do get, and when you're saying about your higher power, God, whoever it might be, talking to you, and getting ideas and stuff like that. I personally tend to find I get that when I'm running,
Okay.
which again,
but for me, running is a form of meditation.
yeah,
It
absolutely.
really is, especially
Yeah.
the longer the distance you run for. So,
I know
like,
you've done some crazy distance, haven't you?
I know
You've
I
done
have, but when I was doing like the ultra marathons and training for ultras and stuff like that, the longer the distance, the deeper the meditative state that
yeah,
comes with it. Because I'll be really frank, you cannot run like 50, 60, 100 miles without getting in pain.
no,
Right? It can't be done, right?
no,
So
because
you have to be able to turn that pain off and keep going.
yeah,
And part of that is deep meditation. Going back to like a couple of the questions we've had, I mentioned about one, like guided meditation versus internal meditation. Another question that came up around the same time was like how to start meditating. For me, actually, I find one of the best ways if you're new to meditation is to start with a guided meditation. So
yeah,
there's an app I've got on my iPhone that I still use on the regular that's
yeah.
called Meditation Made Simple. It is free. It was created by Russell Simmons, the founder of Def Jam
Oh,
Records,
I've read
right?
his.
I mean,
I've
come
had his
on.
books
Yeah,
as well
yeah.
because he's got. Let me just look on Audible because he's got a couple of books out
Oh,
called
he's got about
which are wicked.
four or five really good books now. 4 or 5 really good books. But bear in mind, this is a guy that used to be an alcoholic, drug
Ah,
addict,
yeah,
womanizer, everything else.
yeah.
Now he's vegan, practices yoga. Is the
Green juice.
calmest, like coolest dude on the planet. But that's
So,
definitely not how people would describe him in the past. And his app, really, really simple. It's a bit like you're saying, it's kind of mantra based. It's one word that you repeat over and over and over and over again, either
his
in
is
your
Ram,
head
isn't
or
it?
out loud, right?
Yeah.
And for me, I find it really funny because I don't drink anymore. Most of you will know that. I haven't had a drink for over 5 years at the time of recording this, about 5.5 years actually. It'd be 6 years in December. But one of the things I used to really like to drink was rum.
Yeah.
And what do you think the word is you repeat over and over again?
Oh,
It's rum.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like
But
rum.
but do
And
you
it's
eat
like
right? So
really, and I know it's an ancient word and it's not meaning, give me a bottle of rum,
or
but
Run DMC.
there's a certain irony in there, right? There's a certain irony in there.
But Russell Simmons, he learned TM as well, so he's learned transcendental meditation. So it's a spin off of that from his point of view. And I was just looking at the books, like you said, the app he's got. I mean, I downloaded on Audible. You can get it on Audible. His book, Success Through Stillness.
Yeah.
And also Do Use, another good book of his.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's really good. I was just having a little look.
He's
to
also
see
got, I think it's called The Happy Vegan, which is another really good book of his, which is all about going plant based. I'm not saying everyone should go plant based, by the way, but his is a cool book on that.
And talking, I know you're going to start. You did a post earlier today, didn't you? Saying from July you're going to go fully plant based.
Yeah, for a month again, right? So
Yeah.
I mean, I've done the whole 100% whole foods plant based thing before. I actually went. So I went veggie. Then I went like I use the term vegan, but I don't necessarily mean vegan, and I'll come back and explain what the difference is
I
for
get
me in a
it.
minute.
Yeah.
I then went raw, and when I went raw, I kind of overdid it, and then basically got offered some meat that smelled amazing, and I just was like, yeah, I want this. And I've had times where I've probably gone too far the other way in terms of not looking after myself again, but
Yeah.
I'm very aware of it while it's happening. And
Sure.
sometimes, going back to what you're saying about like mental health and things, sometimes I just allow it. Sometimes I allow
Yeah.
myself to be to not look after myself as well as I should physically, because it feels like the right thing to do to protect myself in other ways in a moment. And I'm okay with that, even when I'm
Yeah.
not okay with it, if that makes any sense, you know. But going back to the vegan versus plant-based thing, just very quickly, for me, right, and this is a personal opinion, and I might get shot down for this,
I got my own views as
and
well.
so I
Yeah.
apologize if I'm going to offend you, but I'm just going to say it as I see it. To me, the word vegan means avoidance of animals, of eating animals for the sake of the animals, right?
Yeah.
And very often you'll find highly processed vegan foods that
Oh,
I actually think are, you know,
worse.
well, they're detrimental to human health. And if you want to have
Yeah.
compassion for animals, start with yourself.
Yeah.
And if you're going to eat some of that stuff, you're not having compassion for you, in
And
my
also
opinion.
full vegan, you got to be like having no leather handbags, no leather shoes, nothing. You know.
However, whole foods plant based, where I eat a diet that's rich in actual plants, you know,
Yeah.
where things don't have ingredients because they are ingredients, and then I make stuff from it, I
Yeah.
think is a really, really cool thing to do. And it's a great way to look after your health. And, you know, I've got friends, I've actually got one friend that was raised that way, that then started to introduce various animal products into his life, got death threats from people because of it,
Yeah.
genuinely. But has become healthier since. I've got another friend who actually commented on that post I put up earlier today, saying about how she's reintroduced
Yeah.
eggs and fish, and actually
Yeah.
it's had a positive impact on her health. So I'm not saying anyone should be 100% plant-based all the time. I think it's back to what I was saying earlier. It's like, what is right for you? And for me, I want to try the plant-based thing again. So I've given myself a commitment to say I'm going to do it for a month. That doesn't mean 100% I won't eat anything with any animal products in it during that month. What it actually means for me is I won't buy any.
Yeah.
And I haven't gone and stocked the freezer and the cupboards up in advance. But if there are things there that are, you know, it's generally all healthy food anyway. If there's a few things there and I happen to eat them in July, that's okay. I'm not going to hide that. I'm going to be publicly accountable in terms of what I do and don't consume, you know.
And
But
it's all right, isn't it?
exactly.
It's all right. And the long and the short, I get it. It is all right just to have the odd meal. And like you said, you've got to do what works for you, is your own body,
Yep.
you know. But avoiding processed food, avoiding substances, avoiding stuff which is going to, like say, mucus forming, acid forming, avoiding those products, and having more plants and more raw smoothies and vegetables, juices into your lifestyle is going to be beneficial. It's not going to be detrimental. Do you know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah, well,
Um,
there's actually another comment that's just come up, and it's from Kezia, who put one of the questions up earlier. But I will just bung this up on the screen because if this is being broadcast somewhere else later, I want people to see this. She says that she is a lifelong lacto-ovo vegetarian. It doesn't necessarily mean healthy, and she is the living proof. As in, she's saying that her health, I think, I'm speaking for her here, but I think what she's saying is, you know, her health isn't 100%, even though she's been vegetarian her entire life.
yeah,
You know, and I think we all have to pay attention to what works for us, and we have to accept that no matter what we do or don't consume, you know, it's not a guarantee to health.
for sure, for
You
sure. And
know,
we're not going to be we're not turning into Superman, are we? Or Superman, are we? Do you know what I mean? It's not like a steak isn't your kryptonite. You know, it is like, and there's a lot of I can't even, factors. You know, it's
yeah,
like factors in your life which will affect your health as well. So stress, surroundings.
yeah. Well, I
You
mean,
know,
if you think
even stuff which has happened in the womb. Do you know what I mean?
if you
When you're
if you
born.
think back to the TEDx that I gave, which was actually nearly about 4 years ago now,
I
believe it
remember
or
that
not,
speech. That's a good
right?
speech, wasn't
About
it?
4 years
What
ago.
That was a good opening, wasn't it?
But if you think back to that, what did I say?
Yeah, it's the Russian roulette.
Exactly, which is basically, genetics loads the gun, but lifestyle pulls the trigger.
Yeah,
That's it in
absolutely.
a nutshell,
Yeah.
right? You could be pulling the trigger all day long with your lifestyle, but your gun might be empty because of your genetics.
Yeah,
Or you might have genetics. I mean, you've got, a bullet in every single chamber and you've only got to squeeze the trigger once and it's game over. You don't know.
absolutely.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
absolutely. Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
if
Or
someone
no, all
gives
you
me a
can do.
gun, if someone gives me a gun and puts it to the side of my head and tells me, do you want to squeeze the trigger? My answer is going to be no.
Yeah, yeah. And all you can do is, like you say, you can just, with education and awareness, just make the best possible decisions you can make, knowing that every so often you're going to do whatever you want and don't beat yourself up about it.
Yep.
You know what I
So,
mean? Talking of juices, this is bizarre. A lot of people tend to juice with their eyes first of all, or drink or eat with their eyes first. So they'll look at a green juice, and this is a classic. I always find so they'll have their juice like this one here, for example. And this isn't just a product placement, but it's just one of my juices. It's a green juice. They'll look at that and go, "Oh, bloody green! It looks horrible." And they smell it and they go, "Oh," and they drink it, and you sort of see their
yeah,
face
it changes.
turn.
Yeah.
It's a bit like out of Pulp Fiction. That is mighty fine.
Well,
You
I
know,
was
it's like,
I was trying to get my son to drink apple cider vinegar, right? My
yeah,
21-year-old son. Couple of things like with his health, with particularly around reflux lately. I'm like, you need to be drinking more apple cider vinegar.
yeah,
And so this morning, I thought, do you know what I'm going to do? I've had an idea. So when I was making ginger slammers, I put
yeah.
apple cider vinegar in them.
What's it like? I need to
It's
give
really
that a go
good.
tomorrow.
It's
I
really good.
reckon.
But literally, so I made enough of like the ginger and apple. And for me, it's more ginger than apple. But I made
Yeah,
enough of that to basically fill like 3 or 4 shot glasses.
yeah,
And then I basically filled another shot glass of apple cider vinegar, poured it into the jug and mixed it up and then poured them all back out.
yeah.
And it's just got, if you use like a Granny Smith apple and maybe a bit of lemon in
Love
in
Granny
that in
Smiths.
that
Yeah,
slammer, you'd get a slight bitter taste.
yeah,
Basically, all the apple cider vinegar does is that. So there's a
yeah.
slight bit of like sharp bitterness,
That's good.
but it's good, exactly, and it
Yeah,
tastes nice.
yeah,
I mean, I mentioned it before we went live, but I'm drinking this thing right now, which is
yeah,
from a company that make a bunch of kombucha and things. So this has got apple cider vinegar in it as well. You wouldn't necessarily know it's in there, so you're getting the goodness from it, but
yeah,
it tastes nice. And that's one of the big things for me with juicing full stop. It's like, if I think back to when I started with it and I was playing around with different ingredients and things, one, it has to look half decent or no one will put it
yeah.
in their mouth. But 2, it has to taste nice, or you
Oh,
won't do it.
100%, man.
But otherwise, you won't do it consistently. Anyone
Oh,
could go, "I'm going to drink celery juice every day for a month," and yeah, you will do it for a month. But you
yeah.
try doing it for 10 years. If it tastes like crap, you won't. You
You see, I don't
won't.
mind the taste of celery juice. Really, I mean, it's not ideal. I'll drink it.
It's
I'll drink
okay,
it,
but
but
it
it's
doesn't
not
taste the
ideal.
same. Whereas if you
No.
take that celery and put some cucumber and a bit of lemon and
Oh,
some
yeah,
broccoli and
amazing.
maybe a bit of pineapple and a bit of
Yeah.
lime
Oh, it's
juice
got to
or
taste
something, and
good.
it suddenly tastes
You know,
completely different, right?
yeah, absolutely. My daughter's the ultimate taste because she doesn't really sort of lie at all. If I give her a juice and she likes it, that's all
Yeah,
right.
well,
But
she's still got that preschool filter, hasn't she, or lack of filter?
yeah, lack of filter. Yeah, yeah, which is what we should all have, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's got to look good. It's got to taste good. And obviously, it's got to be more. It's got to be veggie heavy, really. But it's got to be sweet, nice to taste. And like you said, it's got to be right.
If there's stuff you want me to cover, if there's things you want to see videos about, things you want to have discussions about, let me know, put it in the comments, and I will do my best to accommodate it. Anyway, that's it for tonight, and I will catch up with you very, very soon. Take care, and peace, love, and juice. Cheers.